just right. Grab your coffee, feel the light. Maggie heart will guide you right through the day and through the night. Laugh and learn and feel so free. Dive into this mystery. Every week we bring the flow, fresh and fun and all in flow. Survival skills and healing too. Dance along to sounds you knew. Current events and furies bright, meditation soft and light, growth and positivity, mind and soul in harmony.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Positude Podcast. I'm your host, Maggie Hart. Happy to be here another week. Still struggling with some sinus issues due to the weather we've been having. You know the type that's not predicted in the forecast and then all of a sudden shows up on the radar as that dark, green, really scary-looking blob, and you look out on your back deck and it's pouring rain with the sun shining. Right after 2 days of fog-colored gray skies from, boy, I wonder what caused that. Yeah, fog-colored, like Gandalf's beard. Or it's just that heavy, gray, dark, Tim Burton-y sky. And it's still unseasonably cool off and on. Welcome to life in the geo-engineered fishbowl we live in now. Did any of you guys have these growing up? They were little plug-in units. They were silver on the top and bottom, and they had a screen, and it was like on a conveyor belt. I had them for my daughter. Hers had dolphins, and they just went around and around the conveyor belt. It lit up at night so that you could use it as a nightlight, and some of them play sounds to soothe you. I have a clock that's like that plays bird sounds and ocean waves. I saw them not too long ago, I think on Amazon. People are actually playing them for their cats now for stimulation. But anyway, that's how I feel. Like I'm just seeing the same weather patterns over and over again on repeat. The sky looks the same, the clouds look the same. Highly unnatural. And yeah, the sun was out during the pouring rain and then went away. I've had a little bit of sunshine here. How about you guys? And even that hits different. Like, it doesn't feel the same bright that it used to, and the way that it feels on my skin feels kind of different, but our body needs it, so I try and get out there when I see it for about the 15 minutes it's there, hazy as it is. I want to reset back to the 80s. I don't know about you guys, but hopefully my cannolis are enjoying a wonderful week wherever you are and whatever the weather, and you're able to stay apprised of current events and keep your chin up, maintain a happy attitude, because we're all in this together. One thing I've noticed this week with my pups, and I was wondering if any of you did too, hit me up in the chat room or my email. The last several weeks, my puppies, after they've been outside, are licking their lips, but not licking their lips like they're sticking their tongue in and out like a lizard, like their throats are dry or irritated. They're drinking probably the same amount of water that they normally do, but they're laying down and they seem like they're thirsty, but yet they don't want to get up and drink outside of their normal cycles. But even in their sleep patterns, I'm noticing they're working their tongues in their sleep. And this is very atypical for all of my dogs. They've never done this before. And they seem to be blinking a lot more, like their eyes are irritated too. And some of their eyes look more watery than they normally would. And my heart goes out to them because I don't know how to help them. I can detox me, but what do you do for your animals? That's something I've been struggling with. I did make some changes in their diet, which seemed to help a lot, but the tongue thing is still happening. And my one little girl seems to be having sight issues, like she can't see clearly. And I've been having the same type of issues. So I wanted to ask you guys about that too. Are any of my cannolis out there having some of these same symptoms after they've been outside? I've had several reports, including myself, when I forget to put that Amish stuff in, of severe breathing issues, people being very short of breath, upper respiratory problems, sinus issues. Imagine that, sinus issues, something I've been struggling with. And weird bugs and flus are going around. I had something that caught hold of me for about a week where I felt like absolute garbage, and I detox with my foot baths and stuff. Bromelain, pineapple, is an amazing healer. I've said it before, I've healed myself with pneumonia twice using pineapple and garlic and an all-natural chest rub and water. Lots of water, but in the case of my puppies, I can't make them drink. However, I have started putting fresh blueberries into their food, which is a natural antioxidant, and also giving them little chunks of pineapple to help them along. I did a clippy about pineapple last week or the week before, and it has amazing healing and restorative qualities. I've also been putting a couple of fresh frozen cranberries in their food, and that seems to help a little bit too. They definitely perked up quite a bit after I instituted some of these food changes. But as everybody that I talk to reports the same thing, no matter where they are in the States, that they're feeling worse from, we all figure it's the chemtrails. The pups are too. And my little girl, you guys have heard for years, snoring on my radio shows in between my silences, especially when she's sitting on my lap. She can snore like a tractor. She's actually drowned out my voice in a couple of clips. She is so loud. But all of the other pups have started to snore as well. And that's really atypical. None of the other ones ever used to. So as much as it pains me, I've limited their outdoor time and my purifiers. I can't even imagine how it would be if I didn't have my purifier going all the time in the house. And yesterday there was a beautiful breeze, and I really wanted to open up my back deck door and cool off the house and let the fresh air in like I normally would have. Not anymore. There's just something so soothing and cleansing normally from having fresh air come into the house and the curtains fluttering in the breeze. And it's just, it lends to the peaceful tranquility that I try and maintain here in my homestead. Wherever I'm at, I always try and have a very peaceful, very positive, energetic atmosphere. And as I've told you before, when people walk into the house, they always feel it. In fact, they don't want to leave a lot of the time, which is great. But no, I'm not doing that anymore. And I really miss that. I've been busier than normal even the last few days to a week. So I haven't been doing my typical energy practices, shielding my home and my property like I normally would. And I need to be vigilant with that. Especially if I'm telling you guys to be vigilant with that, right? I have to practice what I preach. But seriously, look at pineapple juice and pineapple. Please put some more of that into your diet on a regular basis. It will help. The blueberries and cranberries as antioxidants for yourself and your pets also. And look to natural sources to help as much as you can, and make sure that they're pure and there aren't any sugars or additives or colors, especially in the fruits that you're giving to your pets. Make sure that they're just the actual fruit with nothing added. And organic if you can get it. I know it's a little more expensive, but it's better for them. You can check online for a body weight for dogs to see what safe amounts are, and the same goes for cats. Certain things you can give dogs, but not cats. Chickens are usually pretty good. They can eat just about everything, but check before you give anything to your animals to make sure that it's safe for them. But if we can help them to naturally help to detoxify their bodies that way, it's better than nothing, I think. And that's something I was trying to focus on in Vision this week and kind of got off track with it, but I have an awesome new friend who uses guinea hens for tick control, and a lot of us free range our chickens for tick and Japanese beetle control, bug control. I'm seeing a ton of videos out there where people are suggesting guinea hens and free ranging your chickens to help with these geo-engineered ticks that are supposed to have been dropped down on us. But my question is, if you're eating the eggs from the chickens, how could that potentially affect us? And also, what are those things doing to our feathered friends' bodies? A lot of people eat guinea hens, harvest them also. So what I was trying to pray and meditate on was, are we going to have to start keeping 2 different batches of birds, one for bug control, whose eggs and possibly bodies we don't eat, and keep the other ones cooped up so that they have less exposure to that type of thing? It's sad, but we have to think about everything nowadays, don't we? What we put into our body, what's safe for us and our environment and our families and our pets. Are you pissed off enough yet? Because I sure am. We need to come together and stop this madness. But I'm going to start to focus more energetically and target things like this and focus on everything being protected energetically more stringently than I have been, at least in the past week. But then again, I wasn't feeling well. Not really an excuse. making sure we pray over and bless everything that we put into our bodies and do the same for our environment. See what you want to have happen and stay positive about it. Make sure that you're doing breathing exercises too to strengthen your lungs. A quick one that you can do is keeping your shoulders relaxed. Let the air fill your belly first and then your chest. You're going to take a slow, deep breath in through your nose for a count of 4, feeling your lungs expand. Then hold for 4 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. Repeat this cycle 5 times. This kind of controlled breathing not only boosts your lung capacity, but also will strengthen your diaphragm and calm your nervous system, which we all need that nowadays. Just a few minutes a day and you will feel the difference. It will also to help keep you feel more centered and ready to focus. So let's focus on the clippies. I'm gonna run over tonight, and that's okay. I'm starting to go live again on Facebook, so if you're there, it'll probably cut you off after the hour mark, but just hop onto YouTube, Rumble, or X, and you should be able to catch me there. Some of the ways that you may listen to me have changed for now because I had to make some executive changes because my work wasn't getting uploaded regularly, and there were some issues with another station, but that is getting resolved. So for now, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Rumble, and I'm on X, and that's all I remember right now. If you're listening to me live, it's at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Times on Tuesday on ERRT Radio. Search those platforms on the other outlets, and you should be able to find me without a problem. The archives are getting uploaded to my personal tiny YouTube channel that I never did much with. I only got like 27 subscribers on it, so please go in and like that page. Also, my Facebook Live, please go in and like that page. Please go in and like and subscribe to ERRT Radio. Share my stuff wherever you can. I really appreciate it, and thank you all for being such loyal listeners. You're the best, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Okay, cannolis, grab your coffee or favorite drink, your emotional support snacky snack, comfy clothes, maybe a tinfoil hat with a chin strap this week because we're diving into another batch of headlines that sound like they were generated by an AI having a nervous breakdown. We're going to be talking about claims that your local data center isn't really a data center at all, but something much bigger, why some people think the 2027 NDAA will supposedly make it official, and why every giant warehouse full of blinking lights now has half the internet convinced it's a secret command center, because it could be. We'll also explore how 7 doctors were hanged in 1947 over informed consent violations, why people are comparing that history to modern medical controversies today, and how come nobody can agree on what accountability is supposed to look like anymore. Also, I got a clippy of a guy being interviewed who got the Neuralink computer chip implanted directly into his brain and immediately assures everybody he's totally normal, which is exactly what I'd expect from a man whose thoughts now require software updates. Imagine arguing with your wife. Honey, you're not listening to me. Please hold. My brain is restarting. Windows has encountered an error. And we've touched on this before, but I got another clippy. Your Wi-Fi router is spying on you. At this point, according to the internet, everything spies on you, right? Your phone spies on you, your TV spies on you, your router spies on you, your refrigerator, toaster. I opened that this morning and it asked me to accept cookies. Which, I'm never opposed to cookies as long as they're good, but still. I have to ask, are they the good Italian ones? But no artificial colorings, flavorings, or ingredients? Don't be trying to give me any of that poison toaster strudel that I loved so much as a kid before I knew what toxicities I was putting into my little body. Or Pop-Tarts, because those were 2 of the guilty pleasures I was allowed to have growing up in an Italian household because pretty much everything was homemade from scratch, but my Italian family hadn't mastered those 2 yet, so there you go. They allowed me to have them here and there, and I loved them. Back then, though, the toxicity rating was probably a 4, whereas now, with the ingredient changes, they're probably about an 8. Some people might like to be rated as an 8, but your junk food for toxic ingredients, now pass. We've talked about Walmart before and their lack of price tags, but another woman reports that now none of the clothing at Walmart has prices anymore. She asked an associate for help and was told that she had to use her phone, download an app or something to get the prices. Nothing like acquiring more of your personal privacy information through your phone and getting ready for social credit scoring, huh?
Tell them, right? Get my friends up.
And so does Walmart. Got a clippy about dating in 2026 and how impossible it is. It's kind of a comedy, but it's actually scary. First date, do you want children? Maybe. Do you believe the black notch on your phone is secretly mapping your soul? Whoa, slow down, we just met. Wrong answer. Check, please. And I have a clippy about the phone. The black notch on your phone is not a camera, it's something else. You'll have to stay tuned. Also, a clippy from a doctor about how your hospital room may be listening to you. How the Russian flag may be giving a nod to the proof of existence of Tartaria, which we kind of knew. I hear that Putin's releasing stuff on that. And while you're pondering asking your next date if you think your smart refrigerator works for the government, I got a clippy about the same brilliant minds who helped make cigarettes addictive, apparently helped make food addictive too, and male frogs becoming female frogs. That chemical somehow is approved again for safety use. That's not something I can make into a comedy. Unfortunately, RFK is talking about Lone Star ticks and alpha gal. Unfortunately, yeah, that's the new disease. It's not some kind of old square dance. Trump says mercury and aluminum are coming out of children's vaccines, which immediately leads everybody to ask, okay, but what are they putting into it? Because some of us kind of have a clue. Tighten that strap on that tinfoil hat, will ya? It's crooked. These AI stations are going crazy. There are so many of them, and I am amazed that people cannot figure out that they're AI. It's like they're all the same. They have the same characteristics and mannerisms, except one's a Chinese guy, one's a monk, one's a Italian guy, one's a farmer, one's a sheik. There's one I'll play for you that's an old granny type, and another one that's supposed to be like a Jamaican woman. And the thing is, they have good information. They're healing tips, they're inspirational tips, but people, it's the same people running all of these stations, and they're all generating the same AI books and changing the titles out depending on what the station is you're listening to. They're cheap books with helpful hints. If you go from station to station, they all have pretty much the same hints. They just word them differently on, like, how to fix your thyroid problem or whatever. I'm not saying the information is not important and useful. A lot of it seems to be good tips, but people are on there. Yes, respond yes, 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 send me the book. And they're thanking them and telling them how much they like the station and asking to personally interact with them. And then the bots are taken over, or a paid person who's answering their comments. People cannot figure it out. How can you not see the glitching on these screens? How can you not see like half of a hand disappearing? They're all using the same hand movements. They're all using the same gestures. Furthermore, in the one I'm going to play of the Jamaican or whatever woman, every single scene has an American flag. And the backgrounds are so fake. In fact, she's standing in a Chinese medicine shop in one of the clips, and people can't figure that out. Hello, it's all Chinese writing in the background on the bottles. But they're doing this to bring in different cultures, to subliminally show you how other cultures can be intelligent and compassionate and friendly and knowledgeable. And they're probably taking counts as to which channels get more friends and hits to see which ethnicities are more popular than others with our country. And like I said, they all have American flags. In the Jamaican one, almost every single scene has an American flag towel or an American flag in a plant or hanging on a pole. This is all subliminal programming. They're checking to see what and how you're responding to this. And the fact that 85 to 90% of the people on these channels actually know, more like 98% on the ones that I've seen, are believing these channels are real people is scaring the hell out of me. But yeah, social media experiment, and people are falling into it like crazy. Again, knowledge, pretty useful, really helpful tips, inspirational stuff. Is it all authentic? At least as far as the healing stuff, from my knowledge, it appears to be. I've actually learned some things on those channels, but I also know it's not real. I learned stuff from the few episodes of the X-Files that I watched. But this Jamaican or whatever woman has a bug repellent candle that she makes. It's a hack involving Vicks Vapor Rug, cinnamon, a paper towel, and enough fire hazards to make your insurance company sweat. Does it work? I don't know. We'll have to try it together. How much insurance do you have? It's a continual struggle of trying to determine whether modern life is reality, satire, or a beta test that accidentally got released to the public, only in this case it was definitely intentional. And I have a lengthy, about 20-minute section on a guy who thinks that women and children should have taxpayer-funded guardian dogs for neighborhoods. I think this is a great idea, but I'm going to give you some insight into some personal stuff that's been going on with me and a pet that I recently acquired, because I think it speaks to faith, and it gives you an example of how I roll with some things, and maybe it will give you some insight or inspiration into some personal situations that you're facing by learning how to read your signs and your messages that you get from above, things that we may even call intuition depending on how you get it. So in lieu of my positive stories this week, you're going to get that and like it. I'm just kidding. Hope you like it. But this episode has more twists than a pretzel factory, more red flags than a Soviet parade, and more conspiracy theories than a Thanksgiving dinner with unlimited Wi-Fi. And if your dating profile doesn't include your position on AlphaGal, biometric surveillance, and guardian attack dogs, are you even trying anymore? And finally, I have, besides the recipe, a clip from a guy in an Uber whose Muslim driver told him that brown people run the city and for him to get out. Wait till you hear this one. And that's what these AI channels are all about. They're giving you different cultures, presenting them all very positively and relatably, and gauging which ones have the most interaction, while exposing you to cultures from fake AI robots as they want to present them to you, to subconsciously program you that all cultures are acceptable and nice and kind and loving and smart, while they flood our country with the bad immigrants that possibly want to see us all dead or raped, pillaged, plundered, and ostracized from the very cities that our legal family immigrants created. So if you like the Granny channel that I have a clippy of, and you like the Dukes or whatever garden tips of the white guy, you must be a white supremacist, because to their way of thinking, being white is a crime. Being proud of your heritage or your culture, depending on what it is not acceptable. And if you're only subscribing to the old lady who looks like the one from the Beverly Hillbillies and Duke's Garden Tips, okay, maybe you need that re-education camp, or you're less likely to be accepting of other cultures, which is not at all necessarily the case. But rest assured, they're pinging you to see which ones you prefer. They're gathering intel, and at the same time laughing behind the scenes at how gullible all the people who are interacting with these things as though they're human really are. Clippy time! Starting off with Real Stocks TBR, 50 Stages of Consciousness, Shaman Hawk, and Survival Hub.
So there's been a lot of talk over the past 24 to 36 hours about Section 224 of the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act. Now, Section 224 was forced into the NDAA by Congressman Ronnie Jackson from Texas. And before he was a member of Congress, Ronnie Jackson was the White House physician under the first Trump administration. He was actually accused of turning the first Trump White House into a massive pill mill. But let's stay on topic here. We've got much bigger fish to fry today regarding the occupation of this country and the installation not just of a foreign military, but a foreign surveillance state over the American people. Because if you actually look in to Section 224, you'll find it listed among the top priorities of the U.S. Congress. It's not just merging American troops and American military hardware with Israel. It's merging America's AI infrastructure and autonomous weapons systems with Israel as well. They keep telling us that all these data centers, thousands of them, they're vital to national security. Well, now, under the 2027 NDAA, Israel will gain access to them, which has always been the plan. These data centers, they aren't about powering ChatGPT on your smartphone. They aren't about keeping you safe. They're about powering a surveillance state that reports back to greater Israel, the Talmudic super state that Americans are paying for right now in blood and treasure. The government just admitted this morning more Americans have been wounded, likely more killed, in the Middle East as this war for Israel drags on. And if you don't like this data center overhaul, if you don't like this merger with Israel, then the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the Department of Defense, they will flag your Palantir profile pedophile, they will label you a national security threat, and they will share that information with their foreign friends. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is congressional legislation, active congressional legislation, completely surrendering American sovereignty and American humanity to a foreign country.
Remember those videos of those massive FEMA camps that were being built? Remember those videos of those millions and millions of plastic coffins that were being stored in these places? I wholeheartedly believe that those two things are a big part of this whole data center, because we are the data that they'll be processing. And when people finally have enough, they're going to need a lot of processing power to keep an eye on each and every one of us and listen to all the messages and process stuff, and then figure out what they're going to do with us after that. Please share this video, people.
Stop the drama, the rants, and the games on repeat. We've been paying with our lives for a scam on the street.
Congress is about to merge the U.S. military with Israel permanently, and they hid it inside of a 3,000-page bill. Here is exactly what Section 224 of the 2027 NDAA does. It creates something called the U.S.-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, and what a fucking mouthful that is. One, it forces our generals to give Israel our most advanced military secrets, AI, cyber, biotech, all of it. Two, it literally says the two militaries will share data fusion and network integration. That means your tax dollars will power a single unified war machine. Three, Israel gets to build factories on U.S. soil so that members of Congress cannot vote to cut them off without losing jobs in their own districts. Why should I care? Well, it's not really about defense, is it? It's about making the relationship impossible to break. Former State Department officials are warning that this bill is designed to entrench Israel so deep into America's supply chains that we lose our ability to say no. So the public is waking up to what's happening in Gaza. Israel's facing genocide charges, and the UN just put them on a blacklist for sexual violence. And Congress is like, sounds great, here are the keys to the Pentagon. So unpopular, yet so useful in silencing dissenting voices, right? Kind of fixes the problem of U.S. military personnel not being willing to attack their own people, right? We can just have the most moral military in the world do it. So here's your action item for this week. You need to call your representative this week, not later, as soon as possible. You can even tag them in this post. You're going to tell your reps to vote no on NDAA Section.
Stand up, stand together, one voice, one hand, neighbor to neighbor, across this land. Black, red, green, white, we all bleed the same. If we don't lock arms now, they'll take more than our name.
In this week's episode of We're Definitely Not Colonized by a Foreign Entity here in America, let's check in how Texas is doing.
Did you know that every commercial construction contract in Texas has a document you have to sign, legally binding you to not criticize Israel? It's right here. It has to be signed by anybody who's leasing out their building to a government agency, like a school or an office building. Also have to sign it for any government contracts, including accounting, agriculture, audit, consulting, engineering, legal, program development, real estate, any other professional service, asset management, brokerage, cash management, credit card, financial, custodial, insurance, investment advisory, investment banking, proxy advisory, reporting, securities lending, trustee or trust, any other services related to financial products. You'll get put on a list, dude. Look, here's a little list of Israel boycotters right here on the contract. Ben and Jerry's? Leave the ice cream out of this. What is that one at the bottom? I don't have my glasses on. Oh no, they got me. Oh, I'm never gonna be on Hannity.
And people are upset in Arizona, too.
Arizona has now declared that dissent about the conduct of a foreign country is punishable by economic blacklisting of Arizonans. Today, we're launching a campaign to protect the right to dissent because it is a bedrock of American freedom. Here's what the law that we are seeking to repeal currently does. If you run a business with more than 10 employees and are seeking a contract for over $100,000, you must sign a government oath saying you will not participate in a peaceful boycott of Israel. You sign the oath or you lose the contract. This is about government putting its thumb on the scale of a political debate. From the Boston Tea Party to the civil rights movements Americans have used boycott to bring about political change.
Let's check and see how Florida is doing.
Because of the dedication and advocacy of activists, many in this very room, real progress has been made. Florida has passed anti-boycott legislation, ensuring that state contracts and state investments are not given to companies that boycott Israel. To do business, that's exciting. And we have to thank Randy Fine and so many of the advocates. In the state of Florida, vendors are required to sign a certificate that they are not participating in a boycott of Israel.
Well, what about the rest of America? Yeah, I think there's 38 states. Are you on it right here? Yeah. Definitely not colonized here in America.
Wake up, America, before the end of late. Wake up now. Wake up, America. Take your stand. Wake up, America. Hand to hand. Everybody rise. Do what's right.
In 1947, the Allies, the United States specifically, hanged 7 doctors for violating patient-informed consent. So these mandates are a hanging offense, and we should remind people of that. I also want to point out, though, that informed consent was formulated badly when it was done at Nuremberg. The problem is that informed consent is specific to experimental treatments. And as an evolutionary biologist, I want to assure you we don't know nearly enough about the human body for anything that you impose externally to not be experimental. It is inherently experimental, all of it, which means you have a right to say no to any treatment that you want. You don't need a reason. Hey, that doesn't sound like a good idea to me is plenty good, right? It's a hanging offense, and we should be reminding doctors of that.
Wake up, America, before the end of late.
Next up, a super blast from Decora Essential Services, My Health Forward, Mama vs. Pharma, Certified Health Nut, and Parts Talks.
In 1985, Philip Morris, the tobacco company, bought General Foods for $5.6 billion. In 1988, they bought Kraft for $12.9 billion. R.J. Reynolds bought Nabisco in 1985. The cigarette companies now owned your grocery store. Here's what happened next. The scientists who had spent careers figuring out how to make cigarettes addictive, the researchers who had mapped the brain's reward system to maximize nicotine dependence were redirected. Same scientists, same research, different product. They applied the same addiction engineering to Oreos, to Lunchables, to Capri Sun. Foods owned by tobacco companies were 80% more likely to be engineered for what they called hyper-palatability, the technical term for making something impossible to stop eating. This wasn't an accident of formulation. This was a transfer of technology from the cigarette to the snack aisle and the science they used to hijack your brain's reward system. It worked. 60% of the calories in the American diet now come from ultra-processed foods. 1 American dies every 4 minutes from preventable disease associated with what those scientists designed. Here is the part that took 25 years of nursing to fully understand. The same system that engineered the food to make you sick built the healthcare model that profits from treating what the food caused. It is not a coincidence, it is a closed loop. You were never the customer, you were always the product. I found a way out of the healthcare side of that loop. It doesn't fix the food, but it takes the healthcare extraction machine out of the equation for your family. Check my bio, the numbers for your family are there. And do me a favor, share this with someone who needs to understand why their willpower was never the problem.
If you think Cheetos is food, then basically nothing's going to help you.
In case you missed it, the pesticide that went viral for making male frogs become female was just affirmed as being safe again and given the go-ahead to continue to be sprayed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Rather than protect fish and wildlife from the second most common pesticide that likely harms more than 1,000 species and is banned in 60 countries, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is continuing their approach to put chemicals first. Center for Biological Diversity challenged this pesticide, but unfortunately it will continue to be used since corn is heavily reliant on it across the country. This is another great reminder to support local and organic farms and start growing a few pieces of produce at home. And if you are going to plant corn, it's best to plant it in grids for maximum pollination. And to help you do this, I mapped over 7,000 farms across the country and carry 190 heirloom seeds on my site. myhealth4.com will be including 3 free seeds with all orders made this week.
Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Tick, tick, boom.
One of the tick-borne diseases besides Lyme that is of great concern to the American people, an increasing concern is alpha-gal. And alpha-gal, which is another science fiction nightmare. You get one bite from a Lone Star tick, and you could have a lifetime allergy to red meat. And I was surprised to learn on my trip to visit the Wampanoag for the Indian Health Services this fall that 50% of the population of Martha's Vineyard now has alpha-gal, including most members of the tribe. And so by controlling the breeding on the deer, we also can control alpha-gal as well. We're also working on medicines that can prevent alpha-gal and that have the potential, the promise of actually curing it. And one of those medicines is almost ready. We're fast-tracking it. And then we're doing the studies over the next 2 years to see if we can actually reverse this devastating disease.
Tick, tick, boom.
It's so important to me. What was the conspiracies now policy? 4 times or 5 times for a vaccine. Don't let them pump your baby up with the largest pile of stuff you've ever seen in your life going into the delicate little body of a baby. Even if it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you just break it up into, I would say 5, but let's say 4 visits to the doctor instead of 1. And certain things I think you should do. We've already taken out and are in the process of taking out mercury and aluminum now. You know what mercury is, you know what aluminum is. Who the hell wants that pumped into a body? And there were rumors about both of them for a long time, but we're having them taken out. We're having them taken out of the vaccines. Hepatitis B again, that's sexually transmitted.
Saracana.
Now, I'm not trying to alarm you, but this is pretty alarming. This is a really important topic. I'm going to take this one quite seriously. This is not a joke. This is coming. This is serious. This will turn you from human to non-human. Once you get this, there is no going back. Have a look at this. This man is no longer human.
Do you have any side effects?
No, I don't have any side effects.
Do you have any?
I don't have any.
Can you feel it?
I can't feel it. I was able to do it, and then I did it.
And how long did that take you?
That took me about a week.
And then you went home and...
I practiced at home.
And so what do you think the biggest benefit of this is?
The biggest benefit is that it's going to help people with spinal cord injuries and people with Parkinson's disease and people with epilepsy and people with depression, anxiety, and all these different things. I could still move the mouse with my mind.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I had. It's actually pretty cool.
Is it like a chip?
It's a small chip, yeah.
So I'm curious about the device itself, the actual... How long did it take you to get used to it?
It was a process, it took a few months to really get comfortable with it, but now it's just part of me, in my head.
Can you show us?
Can you show me where? Right here. So the future is going to be amazing. We're going to be able to do so much more.
Now, guys, if that is not the literal mark of the beast, I don't know what it is. Do not get that. It is coming. It is going to augment you into a new reality. Once you get that, you're not getting rid of it. You will no longer have your own thoughts. Literally, they won't be yours. If you have a look into that man's eyes, there is no soul there. Now, we're in an interesting time. Just keep your wits about you.
Much better now. Clearer.
Yes, your attitude has been much improved lately.
I I just want to comment on the Trumpy clippy. That one looked AI as F. It was glitchy. RFK looked like he was green screened in. So did Trump. It looked very, very off. Maybe it was just the clippy that this guy shared. What did you guys think when you watched it, if you watched it live? There have been rumors about Trumpy being sick. He may be taking refuge in his secret mountain there again, and maybe it's a clone or an actor, or maybe they just made the AI video in lieu of going in front of the cameras live. Either way, it's messed up looking. And when I watched the clippy of him on Air Force One the other day, same thing. Like, that one wasn't glitchy, but if you look at his mouth and how he moves his mouth, something's different around his mouth with his expressions. So, actor, who knows? Next up, it's conspiracy theory time. We got Kimmy Version, Liminal MD, No Marxists Allowed, and Midnight Whispers, 12 a.m.
The opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the host and possibly her pets, who occasionally walk across the keyboard, jingle their collars, drink some water when they can't steal mom's coffee, growl while wrestling with their siblings, and even snore at high volumes when they feel slighted and are bored. Any resemblance to actual facts is purely coincidental, and this show is solely for entertainment purposes only. Wink, wink, nod, nod. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, sometimes our brains run on coffee and wishful thinking, and possibly a conspiracy theory or two. This broadcast may contain traces of sarcasm, bad puns, and music to make you dance. Side effects may include spontaneous laughter, eyebrow raises, and the uncontrollable urge to sing along. Listen responsibly.
Well, this is absolutely terrifying. They're able to actually spy on us using Wi-Fi. I mean, forget videos, forget surveillance, forget microphones, all of the things we think about when it comes to surveilling people. They're now actually able to compose video imagery and figure out who's in a room, what you're doing, all just using Wi-Fi signals, which we're all surrounded with right now. Here is Cyber Maddie, and she explains this on our YouTube channel.
So I wanted to see for myself how much Wi-Fi could actually see. I grabbed a cheap ESP32 board and flashed some open source firmware onto it and pointed it at myself. It saw my heart rate, my breathing rhythm, it did my pose detection, and it detected multiple people walking around.
So this is all extremely scary, very, very frightening that now Wi-Fi can just be used to spy on us. They don't even need video cameras anymore. They can just use Wi-Fi and see an outline of you and what you're doing in your hotel room, using the bathroom, using your bed, doing whatever it is you do in your bed and in your bathroom. And they could see all of that. They could see people coming and going from your house. They could see what you're doing, where you are in your house. I mean, just imagine all of the things they could do. AI is now the future of military. And what are you going to do? You're going to take aim. You're going to use those Wi-Fi signals and AI to take aim at somebody and to try to send a targeted weapon at them, only for you to find out that you targeted the wrong person. I mean, that's where we're at right now with this. This is very, very frightening.
This is crazy, but hospitals are now wiring their walls to listen to people all the time. It began pretty innocently with ambient scribes, which made perfect sense. Less pajama time, more eye contact with patients, less burnout. But now some systems like the Mayo Clinic are experimenting with keeping AI ambient listening on all the time. This is absolutely crazy when you think about it. The ethical concerns and the consent concerns have created all kinds of issues, apparently. Medicine wanted frictionless documentation, but what may be evolving here is ambient surveillance. So this isn't anything that anybody signed up for. But what you have to understand about the use of any new technology is that oftentimes it gets extended in ways that we never originally intended. So we all need to be part of this conversation for ourselves and for our patients. I would love to know your thoughts.
That little black notch right there at the top of your iPhone, guess what? It is not a camera. It is a full biometric mapping system. It's called the True Depth Camera System, and it projects over 30,000 infrared invisible dots onto your face, building a precise 3D model in real time. Not just your face shape, but your movement, your muscle movement, your eye tracking, your micro expressions. That is how Face ID recognizes you instantly. However, here's something interesting you may not know. That same data can be used to detect emotion, focus, fatigue, stress, engagement. Apple says that it stays on your device, and they say it's encrypted. But let's, look out at the bigger picture for a second. Apple Inc. has filed patents around gaze tracking and attention detection. Ford Motor Company has patents for monitoring driver behavior and emotional state. Advertising platforms already optimize based on how long you look at something. Like there are no, if you stop, if you scroll, if you, change pages. So now let's connect all of those dots. A device that knows exactly where you're looking and how long you look and how your face reacts. This is crazy, and it's behavioral data at a level that we have never had before, and it goes way beyond security. But I kind of think the most important question isn't like what they're doing with it right now. It's what is going to happen with it when the policy changes. Because policies definitely change overnight once the innocent infrastructure is built, and the hardware is already just in our hands, and we are used to it. I don't believe this is about just unlocking our phones. I believe it's about training people to normalize being scanned, mapped, and read all day, every day, so that when we're finally in like the Minority Report phase of this Orwellian control, all of these conveniences will definitely be weaponized against us. That little black notch right there at the top of your iPhone, guess what? It is not a camera. It is a full biometric mapping system. It's called the True Depth Camera System, and it projects over 30,000 infrared invisible dots onto your face, building a precise 3D model in real time. Not just your face shape, but your movement, your muscle movement, your eye tracking, your micro expressions. That is how Face ID recognizes you instantly. However, here's something interesting you may not know. That same data can be used to detect emotion, focus, fatigue, stress, engagement. Apple says that it stays on your device and they say it's encrypted. But let's, look out at the bigger picture for a second. Apple Inc. has filed patents around gaze tracking and attention detection. Ford Motor Company has patents for monitoring driver behavior and emotional state. Advertising platforms already optimize based on how long you look at something. Like there are no, if you stop, if you scroll, if you, change pages. So now let's connect all of those dots. A device that knows exactly where you're looking and how long you look and how your face reacts. This is crazy, and it's behavioral data at a level that we have never had before, and it goes way beyond security. But I kind of think the most important question isn't like what they're doing with it right now. It's what is going to happen with it when the policy changes. Because policies definitely change overnight once the innocent infrastructure is built, and the hardware is already just in our hands, and we are used to it. I don't believe this is about just unlocking our phones. I believe it's about training people to normalize being scanned, mapped, and read all day, every day, so that when we're finally in like the Minority Report phase of this Orwellian control, all of these conveniences will definitely be weaponized against us.
Have you ever paid attention to Russia's emblem? What is the animal that the horse is stepping on? I hadn't really paid attention either, but what made me pay attention was the response of a content creator to a video I made where I said that the Great Wall of China wasn't actually built by the Chinese. The summary here, just so you understand, is that the side where the Chinese stand to fight off enemies faces inward toward China, not outward, which is it's supposed to be facing the other way around. Meaning, if there were enemies coming from outside the country to attack China, it should be facing outward, not inward, toward the country. And that means another country is the one that built this wall to protect itself from China, not the other way around. You get it? The important thing is that the animal under the horse's leg is the mythical creature that's on the flag of Tartaria. And Tartaria is a lost civilization, like Atlantis and all those things. In short, some countries allied against it and erased this civilization. And then they attributed the buildings, inventions, and the advancements that existed there to other civilizations and countries. In these old maps, Tartaria or Tataria, which is now what became Russia and China, and the wall is definitely here, okay? It's like the emblem is sending the message that they trampled over that civilization and took its place. Such audacity. Anyway, what do you think about what you've just heard?
Next up from Abish Media 247 and I Am Hiyoka, the Uber driver and the Walmart clothes.
Hey folks, here's the story about Mandani the Mocha.
The cops are coming.
Yeah, but I'm gonna call. Okay, Mamdani is in now, so
that doesn't mean
cops are gonna come and whoop your ass.
No.
And throw you in jail.
No.
Keep you there all night.
No, you can't just cancel an Uber ride with people in your thing, and now we gotta type the navigation to go back to where we gotta go.
New York is ours now.
Okay.
So, whatever the brown people take goes now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that how it is?
That's exactly how it is.
So we're just gonna be unethical now.
Yeah. From tomorrow, from next month on, you need a visa to come to Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll work on my visa.
Yeah,
work on getting me to my destination.
You got a visa on you?
I don't have a visa on me. I'm a U.S. citizen.
How many minutes is then get up on my Uber car?
Dude, don't you worry about how many minutes it's going on. We need to move the car.
This is our city.
Okay.
You're not welcome here.
Okay.
Go back to wherever they came from.
Yeah.
So I'm in Walmart the other day.
Early morning BS. I done scooted on by Walmart, Grafton, etc. for a Tuesday, and happened to spot some cute little digs in here, like the clothes are getting cute in here, right? So I'm like, ooh, it's cute. Let me see how much this is. Let me tell y'all something. How about this? How about none of the clothes, nothing in here has prices anymore. Nothing. Everything is priceless. Everything, y'all. I can't make this up. I've walked around and I've looked at tag after tag after tag after tag. There's no prices on anything. Boom. So I said, let me go ask the lady, like, why aren't there prices on anything? The lady who works here says she doesn't know. She just realized that that's how everything is coming in now. I said, interesting. How are we supposed to find out how much something costs? So she says, well, you just have to put the app on your phone and scan it. So I say, so wait, I have to use my phone to scan something to find out a price. I said, are there kiosks around with the little barcode thing you can scan? She says, no. What the hell? So for the ones of you who ride a little above the cloud with us and are comprehending this, I hope y'all realize what they're doing. I hope y'all realize what they're doing, because how are you able to operate a business of this magnitude? And how are we allowing this? How are we allowing this? How are we allowing? There ain't a chance in hell that we're supposed to be doing anything with our phones to find out information to make purchases. Now, if you go to the rest of the stuff, it's regular. The prices are on the shelves. All of these clothes, y'all, like I don't even know what to say. This is crazy. What y'all think?
No, put that back. I'm not buying that. Put that back.
Next up for a comedy, the 2026 Dating by Shahir Museum, the Granny Bibbins, which is the AI old lady, and the Vicks Candle one from Auntie Marva Wellness, the other AI one I was telling you about. Next time I go to the Dollar Tree, I'm going to get some of that Dollar Vicks Vapo Rub, and I'm going to try this and let you guys know how it works.
Some of y'all be on these dates asking stupid questions like, what's your favorite color? What that my chart looking like? Huh? What was the results of that last blood test? What that hemoglobin do? What that blood pressure looking like? The top and the bottom number. When the last time you had a physical? That's the stuff you need to be asking. There's mental health running your family. Is your daddy a little off? Is your mama a little old? Huh? The real question is, are you healthy? Huh? How long you got left to live? That's what y'all need to be asking. And got with somebody that's throwing the whole family off. Now you need a restraining order. Now he in a diaper. You don't know who you getting with. Citation, man. Take them dates seriously, man. That's an interview.
Do you stay calm during chaos?
It's pretty easy. I usually calm most of it, so.
I'm going to say something that folks don't want to think about. You all are getting way too comfortable being watched. Cameras on every corner, phones tracking every move. And now these flock cameras, reading license plates, tracking where you've been, where you're going. People just shrug and say, well, if you ain't doing nothing wrong. That ain't the point. Freedom disappears a little at a time. One camera, one app, one safety measure at a time. And before you know it, you're living in a country where everything you do is tracked. Now, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I don't think Americans were meant to live under constant surveillance. Because once people get used to giving up privacy, they usually don't get it back.
This is the best kept secret to rid your house of any nasty insects, especially in summer. Just sprinkle some ground cinnamon onto a roll of tissue like so. Roll it up, place it into a tub of Vicks Vapor Rub, and light the top. This fights off all kinds of pests that carry harmful bacteria, viruses, and parasites. Jah put the answer right in your kitchen, darling.
So we'll have to see if the plastic Vic tub melts. And it's been a hot minute since I was able to do really crazy science experiments with my kids, so this will be fun. By the way, she's using a paper towel in the video, not tissue, and miraculously the paper towel sinks right into the Vicks Vapor Rub without bending, no problem. Not AI or anything. And maybe that's it. Maybe this joke's on me. Trying to get all of us crazy Americans to stick pieces of paper towel with cinnamon in a Vapor Rub container and burning it to see how gullible we are. But like I said, the tips, like the gardening tips and the health tips on a lot of these channels are legitimate. I've used a lot of them myself and I've recommended them to clients. So we'll see. Probably a month ago, I shared some inspirational videos from an older sounding guy that's also one of those AI generated channels, and his inspirational stuff is pretty dead on. Due to time, because we're already going to be over, I'm going to save the recipe for next week. Here's the guard dog segment, starting off with the clippy from the dedicated AF Dad.
And they ruin dogs, so I don't think women should be allowed to own dogs that are over 50 pounds.
Hey there, little fella. I have a few thoughts on your video. As a husband to a beautiful wife and a father to a beautiful young daughter, not only do I think that women should be allowed to own big dogs, I think there should be a social program that uses our tax dollars to fund trained dogs to give out to any woman that applies for one. And hear me out, this is the reason why. Let's say starting next week that there was a social program, a taxpayer-funded program for women, for any and all women who wanted to apply, called guardian dogs. And what would happen is if a woman applied for a guardian dog, what she would receive is a professional and highly trained attack dog. These dogs would be trained to be completely docile in public settings, be good around women and children, nothing wrong. But the women, if needed to, just like professionally trained dogs, could give attack commands in order to defend them in situations they needed to. Do you want to know what would happen almost immediately? Crimes against women would plummet, because every single piece of man out there that thinks that they could take advantage of women, they can hurt women, they can rape women, they can assault women, if they knew that any and every woman could potentially be walking around with a massive cane corso on their side, they would immediately think twice, and crimes against women would drop starting as soon as the program commenced. No, I don't think women should be allowed to have big dogs. They don't know how to do big dogs. They don't know how to handle big dogs. Man, half of you men don't know how to handle a big dog. I've seen you men be literally dog walked by your own dogs, and you want to talk about women having big dogs? As a father to a little girl and a husband to a beautiful wife, I would rather my women in my life walk down the street with some big old cane corsos than not have them, because I know if they're walking down the street with some big old killer dogs, every single man on the planet is going to go, nope, not a chance. Those dogs are going to rip my throat out. So let's do the Guardian Dogs program. Let's give every single woman on the planet a big dog to walk around with. Because men like me, men who want women to be safe, I don't care if they walk around with big dogs to protect them. I would rather my tax dollars go to help them get that big dog to protect them. Men like me, men who never want to harm women, who never want to SA a woman, who never want to abuse women, who never want to see a woman raped in their life, we wouldn't care if every woman was walking around with a big-ass guard dog. So please, let's start the Guardian Dogs program so that men like that in the first video, all the little men on the planet that want to hurt women, have to think twice about it. Cool? Cool. Guardian Dogs program. Start it now. I don't know who needs to hear this. Get this to the right people. Send it to everybody. Let's get the Guardian Dogs program started. Okay? Awesome.
I approve this message 1,000%. And think of what it would do for all of the dogs that need homes right now in the rescues and the shelters that are already so terribly overcrowded. It's the perfect solution. And women and kids wouldn't have to be afraid anymore walking in their neighborhoods.
You want to play games? Okay. I'll play with you. Come on. Okay. You want to play rough? Okay. Say hello to my little friend. Cujo! Cujo! Cujo!
Of course, names can be deceiving. I've got a puppy who's named after a spice. But if anybody ever tried to come after me or come near me, she's not all sugar or everything nice, unless Mama's safe. And that's the way it should be. Dogs are one of the most loyal creatures, if not the most loyal creature on the planet. And I think this is a great solution to giving some wonderful dogs stable, loving homes. I've got a kitty cat I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of either. She's pretty protective. So just another reminder, if you're lonely and looking for somebody to love, maybe it's something you need to be looking for to love. There are so many pets in these rescues and shelters. Where I live, in the past 3 months, there have been, it's got to be close to 500 animals rescued out of 3 hoarding situations. And people, I see the ads. I'm seeing still, it was 6 to 10 dogs and cats a week. Now I'm seeing almost 6 to 10 a day that are being advertised as being found, just abandoned in neighborhoods. And nobody's claiming these animals. Please do your part. If you can't adopt, foster. And if you can't foster, please donate some food or supplies or money, whatever you can, to your local shelters. If you have jackets or things that your dogs have outgrown, or old dishes or toys, even old blankets and bedding that you were considering throwing out, if it's in decent shape, please consider donating it. And if you have an elderly family member that's lonely, there are places that will do a senior-to-senior program where for a minimal cost, you can get them, say, a cat that's a senior. That might normally not be as adoptable because people, unfortunately, are looking for babies and younger pets. Just make sure that if you do something like that, should something happen to your family member, you're willing to take that animal in so it doesn't have to go back to a shelter. And the cool thing about the one that I know of that participates in that program is that if the animal needs special medication due to their age, they provide that. And sometimes they give them the food too, so that it's not financially stressful for the senior that's adopting the pet. They just want to see them go to good, loving homes. So check out your local rescues and shelters if you're able to make a lifelong commitment to a pet. I know my cannolis out there are, what?
Chevy?
You know it, but I've heard 2 stories just this week of very young puppies that were surrendered back to their rescues or shelters because the family decided they didn't have enough time for them anymore. One was 1 year and 5 months, and the other one was just about 1 year old. So they were taken into a family that cared for them for 1 year or 1 year plus, and then that family surrendered them because they didn't have time. Heartbreaking, to say the least. Animals don't forget, and animals do have souls. If you've ever looked deeply into the eyes of a cat or a dog, you would know that that's true. They have more feeling and emotion, sometimes more than some people that I've met. And for me, because of the way I'm built, I can feel that. And I bet a lot of my cannolis out there can too. There are people that appear to be human, but they don't have souls. Clones, reptilians, whatever they are, they don't have souls. And just to clear this one up for all of my Bible thumpers out there, because I believe, but I'm not a Bible thumper, that means that they read it, they don't have the interpretation, and it's as it's written, and there's no room to pray and meditate on these things in their opinion. But Job talks about it, Job 12:10, when he says, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing and the breath of all mankind. So that tells us that God has the life and spirit of every single thing, every creature, animals and humans, and that he has control over them. And the soul or the spirit is referring to the breath, the life force that God gives them, which he can take away or give at his discretion. And in Genesis 9:5, God says, I will surely demand an accounting for the life of another human being. That's telling you that the life is special, it's sacred, it belongs to him, and that he can take it back. And in Genesis 1:24 and 1:25, he makes living creatures after their kind, giving them the breath of life. And in 2:7, Genesis 2:7, he puts the life into Adam, making him a living soul. But in Job's friends argue that God's providence is mysterious. This is a search that I did on the internet to find the right words to explain this to you. But Job counters that. God is the ultimate source and sustainer of all life. And he says that God can, take away the breath of other creatures and take away the breath of man whenever he wants to, at his pleasure, is I think how it's worded. So that implies that God can call back life, restore it to those who have died, as he is the one who gives and takes it. And 1 Corinthians 15:42-44, Paul's talking about the natural body and a spiritual body, and that God will raise the dead in imperishable bodies, which also lends further credence and support to the idea that God can restore life to all living creatures, not just humans. So, in essence, the Bible says that God is the one who gives life, has the power to call back the soul or breath of every living creature. So, a promise of restoration and renewal for creation is how the internet words it. But, knowing what we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, couple of years, translations, things being left out, books that we don't have, form your own conclusion. Use your mind and pray on it, meditate on it, and if you've ever had the unfortunate incident of seeing an animal trapped or suffering in the wild, as I have, and looked into that creature's eyes as you rescued it, tried to save it, fix a broken wing, sensed and seen their suffering, I've seen them begging for me to help them, to save them. They were pleading with their eyes, help me, save me. It was heart-wrenching. So of course I had to. I couldn't let it lay there and suffer or die. So even when we look at these miraculous cases, for lack of a better term, of animals, dogs especially, that have saved children's lives or their owners' lives, come to the rescue of their family members, or even in some cases, virtual strangers, why would they do that if they didn't have some sort of pull that drove them to do that? Look at different situations of different species of animals in nature and how they form bonds. And look at the scientific studies, just as with babies in research labs, where they'll take a baby that doesn't get any affection or attention and another one that does, and how they develop. Same thing with an animal, right? Same thing with abuses of humans and animals. It alters their behavior. It alters the way they think, the way they act. So that is not just a physiological thing. It's a mental thing. And I don't care what anybody says. You can't tell me that animals don't have some type of conscience. They exhibit signs of remorse, and it's not just a learned behavior. They exhibit emotion. Now, a robot or a clone doesn't have a soul. They don't express emotion. They don't feel emotion, but animals do. Look up the story of Robin Williams before he died, and how he went to visit a monkey that was sick and elderly, and the relationship that they shared. I was talking to a friend of mine one time about who was traditional Bible, no room for interpretation, as written type of person. What about the people who have dogs and the people die and the dogs get hungry and they eat the people? My response, what about people who eat people? All the sickness that's going on in the world today that we find out about aside, the Donner Party, what about them? And if you have eyes to see, and we know that we've been lied to about just about everything so far, and we know how many things have been changed to take the power away from the people so that the bad guys could have control, couldn't this have been something that was changed too in the text? Just saying. And then you look at doves signifying peace, the Holy Spirit, Jesus being called the Lamb of God, and his love of animals, compassion of animals, how he used them in parables. And I've had people say to me before too, well, what about when Jesus put the demons into the pigs and they ran off the cliff? If they had souls already, where did those souls go? And my response was, what about human possession? Humans have souls, but they can be possessed, right? In fact, he cast them out of people to begin with, and they asked to be put into the pigs so that Jesus wouldn't torment them before the appointed time. And then if Adam named most of the animals, why did he name dogs dogs? D-O-G-G-O-D. But my cannolis know all of this anyway. I do have a theory that there's more to all of this than we know right now. But I can tell you, I've been shown in spiritual warfare that angels take the forms and appearances of creatures that they're fighting. So, i.e., if the demons are dragons, then the angels take the like form of a dragon to do battle. And we know from the book of Enoch that, and even from the traditional Bible, that angels can be very scary in appearance and not look like what we're told that they're supposed to look like, which is a human form being with wings. So I've also seen demonic creatures that look remarkably like wolves or dogs. Some of them actually have wings. Angels and demons can shapeshift. And there's a symbiosis with particular types of animals that we're going to find out later. There's more of a relationship there than what we know now. That's my belief. Maybe some of our guardian angels have the appearance of our pets. Who knows, right? I can tell you that a very select few people that are extremely close to me and know some of my innermost personal stuff were very surprised to find out that my most recent acquisition to the family, that's a pet, happens to have the 4 marks on each of her paws of round circles that look a lot like the marks that Jesus had from the cross, from the nails. Pretty interesting, huh? And I rescued her because I was shown to. No, I was screamed at in my head that I needed to go get this animal as soon as possible. And I try to ignore it, and when I do that, the voices become more insistent, and I'll get a message. I'll hear it, always in my right ear, in my mind, and if I ignore it and it's important, it becomes more insistent. And when I hear it 3 times pretty consecutively, I know, I've learned that that's not something that I want to ignore, because it never ends well if I don't. So when I'm guided to do something and I try and be like, maybe that's just my mind playing tricks on me. That's not my divine intervention talking to me. I'll hear it 3 times and can't dispute that. It gets louder, it gets more insistent, and if I still try to ignore it, it becomes pretty incessant, and so I can't sleep. I keep hearing, you need to do this, you need to do this. Thankfully, I've learned that up to the 3rd time, that's pretty much a done deal. I need to do what I'm told. So, and it's always a spiritual issue or a protective issue. So I was told that I needed to go get this animal right away, and I was shown what would happen to it if I didn't. And it was a really horrible outcome. So I did what I was told. And there is a reason, unbeknownst to me as of yet, that she was put into my care, and it was going to be a temporary situation in my mind in the beginning, but it doesn't appear as though that's the case. Like anything else that happens, our will is not the most important will. We're told to do something, we do it, and things play out as the big guy wants them to play out. And my thought was, well, I'll get her home and I'll get her to safety, and then I'll find her someplace good to go, someplace where she'll be loved and well cared for. And circumstances up to date have proved otherwise, so it doesn't appear as though she's going anywhere. And everything will work out the way that it's supposed to. But I can tell you with 100% certainty that had I not listened to what I was told to do, she wouldn't be here anymore. And she would have suffered horribly. So I'm glad that I did what I did. And I've had several signs since then that indicate she's supposed to be with me. Was not at all what I would have chosen for myself, but this is how it's playing out. So we have faith and we are faithful and do what we're told. And it's not my job to question that. So, although I did get a little cocky, honestly, out of frustration a couple months back. And as I said, I was shown what would happen to her if I didn't go get her right away. And about a month and a half, 2 months in, I was having a particularly hard time integrating her into the pack with my puppies, and just a lot of things going on, a lot of personal challenges, no time, etc. And I, out of frustration, said, will you please just, why? Why did you do this? Why did you make me go get this and do this when you know what I'm going through right now, and all of the challenges that I have, and my time constrictions, and my inability to get proper rest a lot of the time. And immediately, I was shown a mini movie in much more graphic detail of what would have happened to her had I not gone and gotten her right away. And I was like, I literally threw my hands up. I was like, okay, I got it. Message read loud and clear. I was like, okay, I gotcha. I did it. She's here. But I asked with as much grace and humility as I could muster, since it was put in my lap and I listened and I did what I was supposed to, that the situation become easier for me, because I needed it to become easier for me. There was just way too much going on, mostly with getting the pack integrated, which was adding to my workload and my stress level. And I said, I know you won't give me more than I can handle, but I'm about at my limitation. I can't handle any more, and so please make this easier. Something's got to give. And quickly. And within the course of the next week, it was started almost immediately, like the next day. In the course of the next week, probably 80% of my struggles were relieved in that regard with the pack. And it continued to get increasingly easier, and has done so every day since then. Not to say it's totally resolved, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was. And I made sure to express my thanks and gratitude for that, let me tell you. But I feel like this was another test, and I've already learned a lot from this experience. I didn't know as much as I thought I did about dogs. And consistently, when I've been having a particularly tough time with something, I would ask, okay, why am I not getting this? What am I missing? And I would be shown a different perspective, something I hadn't considered before, a reason for her behaviors that I hadn't been privy to. And what I discovered was there was a lot that had gone on in this little girl's life than I was told, which doesn't surprise me, but there are reasons that she acts the way she does. And she can't talk to me and tell me, but I've been given guidance and direction and little epiphanies. I was actually shown different scenarios in my head as to why she was behaving a certain way, which absolutely helped to clarify the situation, and without those little pings, I would have been lost. That's my show for tonight, folks. If you need to get a hold of me for any spiritual, physical, mental, or emotional issues, please email me at Maggie, MAGGIE_heart@outlook.com. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you had as much fun as I did. We'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.